Thank you so much. Lumanti is the housing for poor is not a simple house or shelter for a Lumanti. It's a holistic environment where people can live their life happily. That it includes cultural, historical, social, economical, political, legal, and environmental, physical, territorial aspects. The major initiative of Lumanti are settlement, enhancement of housing projects, saving and credit activities, water sanitation and hygiene sanitation intervention, education program, documentation and advocacy, research and surveys to squatter settlements and urban issues, including community organization and mobilization activities. Lumanti's partnership with WaterAid and Dutch Wash Alliance working in the wash sector for last 10 years and towards the urban sector. And we are basically focused on the water sanitation of the slums and squatter communities of urban poor. Likewise, Lumanti promotes all these activities through the community-led finance mechanism by strengthening the saving and credit programs and cooperatives. Beside, Lumanti advocate, coordinate, and collaborate with local government partners, stakeholders for the service delivery and water supply and sanitation. Likewise, the potential area for basic provision of water, urban services could be in the sector of low-cost housing for urban poor and water sanitation, hygiene sector intervention, as well as education and disaster mitigation, solid and liquid waste management, sustainability and functionality of urban water supply and sanitation programs, services. Likewise, sustainability and functionality of urban water supply and sanitation facilities, as well as behavior change, communication for health improvement. So, along with these areas, we can work together. There is a possibility of collaboration with researchers for the impact evaluation could be benefit in improving project and program impacts, I guess. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. If anybody sees a blue plastic file, that's my speaking note, so I'll have to go off the record on that. I'd like to start you with some numbers. Sri Lanka has 52.8% women, 23% female-headed households, about 100,000 war widows, most of them with below 25 with children, and globally, only 1% of development funds goes into women's organizations. NetWwater was started off in 1999 with in pursuance of IWRM, the Dublin Rio Principles, the third principle which is always forgotten by many of us in the water sector. We are going into advocacy, knowledge building, skills building, and action, because these two have to go hand in hand. So as much as we do knowledge building, we also build rainwater harvesting systems. And we do have a lot of networking. The recent initiative of the University of Pennsylvania, which has a 3-year history of working with us, WH2O, the Women and Water Journal, is part of our interaction. We have an attitudinal change. We are trying to do attitudinal change at policymakers, mindset changes in communities, and these are changes which are not tangible. You cannot see them. It's not as visible as a toilet. But I think, and my colleagues all think that these are the changes which we need to bring to the table to make long-term development changes. Who are we? We are probably, as BRAC is the largest in Bangladesh, we are the smallest in Sri Lanka. We are a volunteer group. We do not, when we started off, we said we are not going to become an organization which has to put so much of money into officers and staff. So everything we get is going into programs, and it goes off. We work as activity leaders. Many of us are, well, very senior in our profession. We enjoy people coming and evaluating us. We have had a very nice evaluation for our gender and water dialogue from CAPNet, UNDP-based CAPNet, and because these are things for which we don't have the money ourselves. This particular program is something where we bring together Brandix, which is a multinational which creates garments for Gap, Victoria's Secrets, etc., etc. So what does garments have to do with women? We wear their garments, yes, but their CSR is totally women and water. So it was a very good meeting of minds. We are also both Global Water Partnership members, and we are doing a new program called Jalavahini, which is for women and water community leaders. So these are farmer organization representatives, CBO leaders, president, secretaries, treasurers, but all of them are in the water sector. And what we are doing is collaboration, bringing together information, knowledge building, but also leadership building. We have just started this program, but we will be having one every month. So anybody who wants to observe us and input into the changes that we should be making, I think this is very good. We had, with Brandix, we had a kind of a collaboration with on school sanitation, but now this has expanded into an activity where very specially we want to work in the former conflict areas, because this is where we see a lot of problems, and this is where we see a lot of development activities going in with infrastructure, but not with the community building, mindset building, that kind of changes which we think should precede infrastructure. So basically, these are we have these opportunities for the female decision makers. Each program brings together at least 40 rural organizations, one from each, which means we are impacting about 5,000 people, hopefully, if we take these women as catalysts for development within their own organizations. So for JPAL, what may be of interest for us is that we have some interactions for preventing river pollution. So small town urban centers with their related sewage problems is of interest to us. And we are not working only in the urban sector. We are trying very hard to prevent rural migration, which leads to all the urban problems that you guys are working on. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I represent the whole of water sector. Now, at present, I am working as the water sector advisor, and also leading a team of consultants to recommend reforms to the government for sustainable service delivery in the water sector. In fact, it's focused on institutional strengthening for sustainable service delivery. It's an action research type thing where we have found the pressing, burning issues in the water sector, which are actually our focus is to target the 2020 national target, the investment required and capacity to achieve 2020 national targets. For that, we need to resolve current issues in the water sector, which are urban. In the urban sector, we have financial viability issues. The schemes which are running now are losing money. Few schemes are making profit, but now the National Water Supply and Drainage Board is one of the largest public utilities in Asia. Depends wholly on the Colombo consumer base. Colombo is subsidizing most of the suburbs water supply. Third most pressing issue is rural water supply operated by CBO, community-based organizations. There is no formal institutional oversight on water quality, quantity and accountability. So unless you correct these things, the sustainability will not be, sustainability will be at stake. So this is in fact a macro issue. We are addressing a macro issue in Sri Lanka. The whole of water sector can be summarized in this fashion now. Here I have integrated everything together into a single slide, where the water supply categories and how the population coverage in 2012 and the issues affecting sustainability. So what we are trying to do is to look at what responsibilities there are for the natural resource managers, because unless you have the natural resource management in place, you cannot, the service delivery organization will be helpless, because they need to have reliable and good quality water sources. Now here we need to bring a collaboration of natural resource management institution and service delivery. The commitment of natural resource management and commitment of water users are the most critical factors in sustainable service delivery. So our recommendations will, it's going to be a policy, institutional, and capacity building of these service delivery categories so that they can overcome the current deficiencies in the sector. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Abdullah Kaikai. I've been managing the UNICEF water programs here in Sri Lanka since 2008, and I've done this also in several other countries in Africa and Asia. I don't have a PowerPoint, and I will not also go, to tell you what UNICEF does, because if I attempt to be here till lunchtime, I guess you all know. It's always a privilege to, to really speak after a very senior water advisor. I'm from the ministry, and I also thought I was going to be the last person on the panel. Two specific things that I think fit into the possible USI initiative. One is that after the tsunami, UNICEF had or received lots of money. We also implemented through the government a very two big urban water supply schemes, one in the east, and the first program area is pertaining to the one in the east that costed us $14 million. That was supposed to benefit 38,000 people. But as I speak now, there are only 1,000 connections. Despite all the community awareness, despite all the concessions, by government, this number has not increased at all. So, I'm, very, very, very much similar to the situation that was, articulated by Pascaline yesterday, in Morocco. I really want to, see whether, we could go into partnership with, and JPAL for us to understand why, and to use this as a learning, because I know in countries like Iraq and Afghanistan, UNICEF still continues to construct very large schemes, and hopefully, and the outcomes of this, evaluations, could be shared out. The second, program area is our water sanitation, and hygiene in schools. I mean, you heard from the minister that yes, there has been a very big scale up with funding, from UNICEF, coming from OZAID, and OZAID also, is thinking of increasing, that funding in the next couple of years. Currently, we are upscaling this through the government in the eastern and central provinces. That is about $4.8 million, targeting 350 schools for now. The theory of change here is that it is assumed that once safe water supply and segregated latrines are provided to schools, that takes into consideration issues like disability and menstrual hygiene, with the assumption that other components, are also available. Girls enrollment, children enrollment and retention, especially girls, will definitely increase. So, I really want to go into partnership again with the JPAL, and see whether this theory of change is right, and see also how we can use this, as evidence, advise government, because government too is pouring in a lot of money into this initiative. So these are the two areas, I'm very, very specific, that I really want, engagement, with the JPAL. Thank you so much.
Okay, good morning. So my name is Zahir Dasu. I'm with DFID based in Bangladesh. So I'll just start by expressing my thanks both to Gates and for JPAL, both for allowing me to be here, but also for making this pitch. So DFID is an international donor. We work through devolved country offices in over 30 of the poorest countries in the world. We deliver UK aid, and in short, we work across all sectors, and we work with almost all partners. So if I highlight just some of the partnerships that DFID has, They vary from central governments, subnational governments, multilateral agencies, including the UN, as well as NGOs. And again, just to give you an example, amongst NGOs, we work with the very largest, including BRAC, and we work with much smaller NGOs as well. So I think the first message that I wanted to convey to the researchers and the JPAL researchers is a word of encouragement to come and to be in touch with both the DFID offices as well as some of the projects that we fund to get a better sense of what research opportunities there might be within our programs. So just to give you an example, if you come to any DFID office in South Asia, typically we've got anything between 10 and 40 programs. In Bangladesh, it's about 40 programs. In size, they vary from anything between 1 and 200 million pounds. And so within these programs, there's three things that I'd highlight in terms of why there are good research opportunities. The first is that DFID centrally is putting a great push on doing more and more systematic evaluation to inform our programs. So chances are, if you go to any DFID office or any DFID funded program, at some point DFID has had a conversation with this program to say, should you be doing a randomized experiment? And so I think that gives an opening right away. The second thing to say is quite a lot of our programs going forwards also have funding for research built within them. So you might find that if you approach a program and there's an interesting question, funding's not a constraint. And then the third thing is that all of our programs have some very rich data sets. So our administrative processes mean that all programs report against a log frame. They do it at the start, they do it annually, and they do it at the end of the program. So I think that, looking at this from a research perspective, you've got lots of interesting programs, lots of data, and often the funding constraint is not there. So I think my first message to JPAL is to make the most of this. I think the second thing that I wanted to just take a chance to do today is in terms of what's of interest today in terms of the Urban Services Initiative. So you've already heard from DFID's largest urban program in Bangladesh, which is UPPR. So we have both direct interventions, but we also have some indirect interventions in that these are very large programs. They fit within our health or education portfolio, and they happen to have large components working in urban areas. So there's one such program that I think could be of interest to researchers. The partner couldn't be here today, but I just wanted to highlight this opportunity. And this is a program which is on technical and vocational skills training. Now, this particular program is a package of interventions, and the theory of change is basically that we give a range of interventions to enable individuals to get skills training, and that leads to better labour market outcomes. Now, you've got three interesting research questions straight away. Number one, does this work? Number two, if it works, is it working because individuals are learning English, or is it because of some other factor such as a confidence effect? And the third question is, which subcomponent is the most effective? And these questions are not being asked. Now, the program is 3 years into a 9-year program, so there's an opportunity to influence, and they've got a very rich data set. So over the last 3 years, they've collected 4 panel data sets, anything between 20 and 200 people, and they've got 2 cross-sectional data sets. So that's 2,000, and one is 10,000 people. And so my sense is that this is one of those programs where, because the data set's already there, it might be fairly straightforward to find an implicit design and try to answer one of these research questions. So if this is of interest, then do come and find me. But let me stop there. Thank you.